Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild is easily the highest selling game in the franchise, selling over 22 million copies as of March this year. However, when I first played Breath of the Wild, I was a little bit confused. The game was so different from every Zelda entry I'd played previously, and there were a bunch of things that were different to me. So in this video, I'll be going over some of the things that set it apart from the rest of the franchise and make it the beautiful, unique game that it is. Starting off with the open world mechanics of Breath of the Wild. As you may know, Breath of the Wild is the first fully open world game in the franchise, with a completely non-linear story and super fun gameplay elements such as hunting and side quests that you can find all around the map. With a map multiple times larger than previous games, it offers so much to do and so much to explore, without being too overwhelming. Part of what makes it so different is the fact that the open world elements add to a sense of detail in the world, which allows for great world building and characters. Unlike games like Ocarina of Time, due to the Switch's massive power compared to the N64, it allows for so much detail when it comes to the NPCs, what they do, how the buildings are detailed, and the beautiful terrain of the game. The second thing that sets it apart from most of the Zelda games is its graphics. It has an interesting art style, which seems to be almost a combination of Wind Waker's cel-shaded graphics and Twilight Princess's more detailed, dark aspects. This allows for a really unique experience with the game, as well as beautiful designs for the landscapes, which blend in perfectly with the new graphics. The third thing that sets it apart from every other game in the Zelda timeline is the fact that it takes place in a timeline merge between the three timeline splits. As you probably already know, it's been confirmed that Breath of the Wild takes place as a merging of the Downfall, Child, and Adult timelines. This makes it so that enemies, locations, and items from all of the previous games, regardless of the timeline, could show up canonically in the game. This makes it really bizarre when you take into account that some of the races from the different Zelda timelines can show up in one game. The fourth element that I'd like to talk about today is the sandbox elements. With an open world map that allows you to do virtually anything you want, there's a bunch of different creative elements that allow you to do whatever you want in the game. For example, you can hunt, do side quests, and explore for as long as you want with no restrictions. Except of course the Guardians. They suck anyway. The fifth and final element I'd like to talk about today is the time that Breath of the Wild takes place in. I'm not going to tell too many spoilers, so if you don't want to hear spoilers, just skip to the end of the video. Breath of the Wild takes 10,000 years after the normal timeline. This makes it so that all of the different Sheikah technology and other gadgets you can find around the map are high-tech and are nothing like you've seen in the previous Zelda games. This also gives rise to a new enemy, Calamity Ganon, which unlike Ganondorf is a giant beast who stalks Hyrule Castle. One of the biggest things that sets this game apart from almost all other Zelda games, besides the Downfall timeline, is the fact that it takes place in a timeline where Ganon has already defeated Hyrule and is ruling over it. The world that you see is in ruins, and there are very few villages and buildings that are still left from the ancient Calamity. After waking up from an 100-year slumber, Link has to fight off Ganon and his army of underlings to save Hyrule. This makes it drastically different from all the other Zelda games, which take place in a timeline where Ganon still hasn't risen to power. Anyway, I think that'll about wrap up the video today. Zelda is a wacky franchise full of wacky games, but Breath of the Wild especially stands out for some of its unique aspects unknown to other Zelda games. If you want to see more Breath of the Wild and Nintendo videos on this channel, leave a like and maybe subscribe if you want to see more videos like this. See you guys.